Hi everyone, welcome back to Plum Mashable. So today I'm going to go a little bit bubble crazy with some sets from Lawn Fawn. So let's go ahead and jump in. Alright, this is going to be one of my big crazy ones because I felt like it. I have been sitting on Bubbles of Joy from the last Lawn Fawn release for so long and I wanted to play with it, so this is where I thought I'd play with it in my planner. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and cut out and coloured in a bunch of images from these already. I'll show you all the sets I use after I'm finished doing the inking of the background because we're going to do that first. I'm going to do this though super quick because you guys don't need to sit through all of it. You've seen it hundreds of times before. I'm not doing anything fancy. I am using some of the new Slimline borders though because they fit my page a little bit better. So I'm just going to do a little brown kind of one at the bottom, which is going to be like the ground, and then we're going to do grass behind that so it looks like you're sort of looking at the scene at mouse level. I don't know if that's a word or not. I'm also doing it this week because it is Lawn Fawn release week. I've been looking at all the sneak peeks for the last couple of days, last week or so. They are so good. They look so good. Alright, so I am just going to start by taping this down. I will show you just a little bit of the first one I do, but I'm not going to show all of it, and I'm certainly going to speed through the second bit. All I'm trying to do here is make sure that the hill looks okay, that it's not too big, and then I'll sort of join it up on the other side. So I'm just using my line a little bit here as a guide. I'm just using some not bad washi tape, but just washi tape that's just out of my collection, just to hold stuff down. Here we go. Alright, so I'm going to use Gathered Twigs and Vintage Photo. Vintage Photo is slightly lighter, so I'm going to use that one, and then just Gathered Twigs to put a little extra colour on this. Like I said, I'm going to do this quick. It's just going to be a bit of a colour on here. There's not going to be too much fanciness to it. We'll do a little bit of speckling, and then I'll move on to the grass. There's a little bit of mess on there, but that's okay. So I'm being really light-handed here. I just want to put the colour down. Whoops. Might just do a little bit more. And then coming in with the Gathered Twigs, which is just slightly darker. And just putting a little bit of extra on the top of the hill. And around the bottom. There we go, there's my hill. Then I'm going to build the grass. Actually, before I pull that up, I'm going to do the splatter. It's just a little bit of splatter of the Gathered Twigs. Again, you guys have seen this I don't know how many times, so I don't feel the need to show you too much. Whoops, that's isopropyl alcohol. We don't want to use that. Where's my water? There it is. If you're ever doing splatters though, one of my biggest tips is just make sure you get a piece of scrap paper and just cover up anything you don't want to get splattered. It does have a horrible way of getting everywhere, so anything you don't want splattered, just make sure you cover up. So I thought I'd do each page one at a time, but I've now decided that it will be better to, sorry that was the wrong one, do them both at the same time so I've got the same colour inks out. So I'm just a little bit further down on my mat here, but that's alright. So I've just tried to make it look so this is kind of joining up. It doesn't matter if it's not 100% joining up. Not that one, I want that one. Gathered Twigs and Vintage Photo are pretty close, so it doesn't matter too much if you interchange them. Oh, I just love the way oxides blend. So I'm just moving it up my page a little bit just so that I can get this in the right spot. I'm just going to go ahead and do the splatters and then we'll come back and do the grass. Actually, I'm going to do the grass off camera super quick. Not off camera, but super quick. which is exactly the same process. It's just going to be the grass up behind, which I'll then flick. And all I'm going to do is leave the stencil there to protect the ground while I'm doing the grass. So there's my ground. As you can see, I didn't pay attention to my own advice and forgot to cover where I went flicking the second time. So I do have a little bit there, and I've smudged some of my things. It's dirt, it's fine. It's not going to be a big deal. So then I'm going to grab the stencil. So these are again the Slimline ones. These are the Slimline cloudy stencils. I'm just getting the small one. There are big ones too, but I just want the small ones this time. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the clouds the exact same way I just did the grass. So we tape it off. So I wonder if I can move this one off. Just being careful not to rip that. So I'm grabbing a bit of that tape that I used before. And move these things off. Dog hair. It's going to hold that in place. And then I can cover this up. So I'm using the stencil as the mask. Just lining that up. Might need more tape. There we go. And then I'm just going to use the stencil to make the clouds. So I'm just going to come a certain amount each time, and then I'm going to line it up exactly on the other side. I'm going to use tumbled glass for this. It's a little bit bluer than I think I want to go. I think I would prefer to do speckled egg, but I want to use speckled egg in the bubbles. So this is going to be a big, crazy background, which is why I'm trying to do it really fast, even though I know I'm not really doing it that fast. So I'm going to go ahead and do the clouds, and then we'll come back and do the bubbles. So that's what we've ended up with once I've done this background. So if you can kind of get the idea here, you've got the sky, you've got the ground, you've got the grass in the background, and you're looking down on it. I have still got one more layer that I want to do of bubbles. So the idea of this whole week is bubbles. It's bubbles, bubbles, bubbles. So I've got the 2 bubble stencils. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put down each one on each side. But I'm just going to do them with some of the colours, so not all of the colour. So I've got 3 colours lined up, and that's because they sort of match a little bit the colours that I've coloured the bubbles in with. So you'll see in a second what I've done, but I'm just going to tape this down quickly, and I'm going to come in with a very, very, very small blending brush and my 3 colours. So I used Mowed Lawn and Twisted Citron on the grass, which is my normal kind of grass thing. And then I'm coming in with Spun Sugar, Shaded Lilac and Speckled Egg for the bubbles. So this is a very, very tiny little blending brush. And I'm just going to pick a couple of each colour. So there'll be a bunch of different ones. The good thing is, that's why I deliberately didn't do a gigantically crazy background, even though it was gigantically crazy. So that way the pink and the purple and the blue will just kind of come out on top. So this is going to be a bit of another process. So I'm just going to wipe the colours off in between, just trying not to get them too close to each other, as in don't have too many of the same colours. It doesn't matter if I don't do all of them. I don't have to do all the bubbles. Happy to miss a couple. Why does my Shaded Lilac always look really wet? Also, it always looks really dark. I should have used milled lavender instead. Oh well. Some of these, so this one, because it really looks wet, I'm just tapping it in as opposed to rubbing it. And then I've got a little trick to make these look more like bubbles afterwards. So I'm just having a look at that. Oh, hold on, I need another one down here. I need some more pink. And the cool thing is, actually, this is actually making a funny double colour. Kind of looks a little purple, a little pink. Need something in the middle there. No, something else. So because I use that little hinge, I can just keep picking it up and putting it back down again. I am also, once this one's dry, actually I'll just do it now because we should be okay. I'm just moving the stencil down because it doesn't quite cover the whole page. So I'm just putting a couple more at the bottom. There's 2 different stencils in this kit, in this pack. One's got a little, this is the really dense one, and then there's a really sparse one. I'm not going to use the sparse one today. I think these are going to be enough. There we go, that's perfect. But you could use both. You could use both. And I'll come back and show you how we're going to make them look like bubbles in a second. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other side, and then we can start putting this together. Oh, only other hint I'm going to give you, between uses, just wipe your stencil off. That way you don't accidentally get any of the colours bleeding through. And I am actually also going to clean my little stencil brush. Just give it a bit of a rub on here to get off any of the extra colour. That's why I'm also starting with the pink, because it's the lightest of my colours, and that way if I go dark on the others it doesn't matter. That was a lot of stenciling, but it looks really good. I'm really happy with that. I'm a little annoyed with the few brown marks, but I'm hoping that I can cover them up. Alright, so like I said, I have cut out or coloured and cut a bunch of stamps from a bunch of different stamp sets from Lawn Fawn. I've got Dandy Day, Bubbles of Joy, Merry Mice, and I used some of the rocks from Mermaid for You. I'm just holding on to Bubbles of Joy because I'm going to use that still to add in a few little extra bits. So I've I've coloured them all in, and we're going to sort of put the little scene together using all of these, and then also using, because I've already got these bubbles in the background, I should be able to kind of make these look like bubbles. So the way we're going to do that is grabbing in our white gel pen and then just going over the top of the oxide and just doing like a little shine mark. That'll make it look like a bubble. So I'm just doing that with all of them. I'm just trying not to smudge it as I do it. Probably should have started at the top. So just a little shine mark. I'm doing them all down the same side. They don't have to be. They can be anywhere you want to put them. But I'm just putting them all down the same side so there's a bit of consistency. I love how the combining colours have kind of made some funny ones. So the speckled egg sometimes looks really blue and sometimes looks really green. I love the way that looks. I'm just making sure I've got them all. And then we'll do the other side. It's reminding me forcefully of when Glinda comes in The Wizard of Oz. Just all the bubbles. All the bubbles. Right, so I have, like I said, a bunch of bubbles here. I'm going to colour in one more bubble because I need a big bubble. Because I need a bubble to hide some things under. So I'm grabbing my infinity circles. These are my infinity dies from Hero Arts. I'm just grabbing one. I did already mark it which one it was, so I knew which one to pick up, but I will tell you which size circle it is. I have to get my ruler out. This one is the 6 centimeter circle. And I'm just grabbing a bit of my blending card. So this will show you how I coloured all of the circles, because I coloured them all in exactly the same. Cut that, I'll take that bit of tape off. Now I don't have a circle stamp in this size, so what I'm going to do is trace it out first. And I'm just going to trace it using one of my Triplus broadliners. This has got a little bit of extra width on it, and then because I'm doing the circle on the inside of the die, when I cut it out it should be the right size. So just going all the way around. I've tested this and it's Copic friendly, so it's not going to smudge when I put my Copics on. Okay. It's not perfect, but it'll work. So I'll just run this really quickly through my little Sidekick machine, and then we'll colour this one in. It's not perfect, but it's close. So sometimes I will say that I'm pretty clever with my colour combos. Other times I cheat. And this is definitely one of those times that I cheated, because I just took all the colours from the Lawn Fawn video where they did the colouring, or they did this set, the introduction. So I've got 8 Copic colours. So I've got VO1, oh no, sorry, that one doesn't belong. No, I thought it was only 7. VO1, RV00, R00, YR0000, BG0000, G00, and Y00. In other words, all the lightest colours that I have. And we're going to do a bit of, it'll look weird, and then it'll suddenly all make sense. So I always start, or I have been starting with the purple, which is the V01. And I'm just putting a bit of colour just on the edge. This one I'm doing a fair amount more because I've obviously got more space to cover. And then I'm coming in with the RV00 and just doing the same amount-ish. Doesn't have to be perfect, this can be a little messy and that's okay. Then we're coming in with the R00. If you need to move your circle you can, because I'm going to have to. Come here. This is where nails are good. Just sort of blending it into the last colour, and then we're going in the YR, If I think there's not enough colour of one or the other, I just sort of come back in for a sec. So I'll just come back in with that YR one. Then we'll go with the green and then the blue. Okay, now, looks a bit funny. Does look a bit funny. This is when we get our colourless blender in. And just grab onto an edge and just start kind of blending. So what this is really good at doing is disintegrating the colour. And so as it disintegrates, it sort of starts to look a bit more like it's been watered down. So I'm just really concentrating over the colour. I'm working in circular motions, but you don't have to. You can just sort of run back and forth if you want to. And I'm just going to give that a couple of minutes to dry. So while that's drying, we'll move on and start putting our little scene together, and then I'll bring it back over. Okay, so I have a couple of rocks. I need to put some white highlights on some of these. I didn't finish. So I've got a couple of rocks here that my little critters can sit on. I love this one. So we've got the little we've got the little guy who's in the bubble. He's floating away. There's another one who's going to sit on the bubble. And that way there's sort of some up in the sky doing things. And that's also where I'm going to write some things. So that's how we're going to put some of these different bits and pieces in. And all I'm going to do is avoid crossing over the days. And then once we've sort of got the big ones down, I'm going to work out where this one's going to go. Sort of maybe thinking it's going to go up there, and we'll put the little guy down here. There we go. Then we can start putting in our mice as well. So I'm putting the mice down first so that I can fit them all on, and then I can come back with the bubbles, the extra bubbles that I've done. Don't they just look so cute? I love this mice family. And then we're going to have a little wand here for this one so that he can have some bubbles flying up. Looks really cool with the bubbles on the background. That was the only thing that I couldn't sort of test before. I did a bit of a practice on this one just to make sure that it all worked. And I tested a bunch of stuff and I couldn't test everything. So it's good to see that the stuff that I couldn't test actually still works. So some of these little bubbles have been done with just 3 colours instead of all 7, or just 4 colours instead of all 7. And then some of them are the little tri bubbles. I'm just checking and making sure that I have them all in the right spot. I need my jewel picker. I'm going to grab my tweezers while I'm here too. So now that I have them all out, and I do like the way that big bubble is sitting, just making sure I've got it's coming over this side. Still plenty of room for me to write stuff. And that's the big test that I always go with planner weeks. As long as there's enough room for me to still put things, it's all good. Now, this one just needs... I got it messy, and I don't know how I got it messy. So I'm just grabbing an eraser. Actually, where's my sand eraser? Try that one instead. Just want to get this mark off because it's bugging me. If I put it at the top, I can cover over it when I write Happy Mail. Now I'm going to leave the days of the week and everything exactly where they are because I actually think they look really cool there. And I'm just going to go ahead and stick all of these down. I'm just going to pick it up with my jewel picker and just tape it together. I'm just going to use my Tombow, not my Tombow, my what is it called? Kikuyo dots while I still can, because they're not going to be around for much longer. I'm going to go ahead and stick all of these down and then I'll be right back. actually, I've changed my mind. For the little ones, I'm just going to use some liquid glue. It's just going to be a little bit easier. Just a little bit easier for me to pick these up. Put a little bit of glue on the back and then stick them down. Just trying very hard not to put too much glue so that I don't have any leakage out the sides. So I've got all of my little mice all stuck down. This is when I'm going to come in and do, sort of turn it into some planner stuff. Like obviously I don't have any circles that are going to say Happy Mail. So I'm just going to write that in by hand. I'm just going to try and not mess it up. So I'm just following the circle round a little bit. And that's how I've kind of disguised that mark that was there, because I've written straight over the top. And then on these bits, these ones here, I've deliberately put them in for the things that I have on. Oh, and I've just realised I've forgotten one. That's alright. I can write one in by hand. So this one is going to be, I'm just going to grab a slightly skinnier nib. So it's gone down to 0.2 here. This one here, just because I have kind of come across 2 days, I'm just going to just put Thursday on there and then just write Lawn Fawn release day. And the Happy Mail I can just put some little dots on later. So the only thing I still need to do is just add a couple of white details just to my rocks, because I didn't do that. And then I haven't put any white details on the bubbles, but I'm just doing it on a couple of them. I don't really think they need it. Number one, you can't see. Number two, they still look pretty cool. I love that watered down look. They do look really cute. And I absolutely adore that little guy. He's my favourite, which is why he appears twice. When I had done the trial version of this, because I did do a trial page and kind of spread everything out, he was actually sitting on the other side. That's the last thing I need to do. I knew there was something I was forgetting. So I'm just going to grab, this is my Lawn Fawn River Rock ink. I have fallen down into a couple of the Lawn Fawn inks. I really want to play with some no line colouring. I'm not there yet. I'm still getting to a point that I'm brave enough to do that. But just for now, I'm not doing it. I'm just grabbing a couple of the little pop kind of things, and then there's one here that actually says pop. So I'm just going to stamp them out. What have I picked up? Oh, there we go. So I've just got, because this guy here, he kind of looks like he's missing something. So he looks like he's missed a bubble. So he's got the little pop one, and I'll write pop next to it. And I'm just going to stamp in a couple of these little pop marks in this sort of lighter grey colour, just to kind of fill in anywhere there looks like there's a gap. And I love the idea of there being one just up by his nose. So I've got the big ones. We'll come and do a couple of small ones because there's obviously a lot of bubbles. Same time I feel like I have done plenty of bubbles, I still feel like I'm missing some. That's just ridiculous, I know, but. And then I'm just going to do a couple of these little pops around the place as well. So I'm just going to put one here that just says pop. Yes, I'm happy with that. I really like that ink. That River Rock might become one of my favourite new inks. It's just something that you can experiment with, is playing with the different colours of ink. Black obviously will give you this really dark outlinedy one, but there's two. So there's River Rock, which is this grey one that'll give you a bit of a different finish, and then you've also got Crunchy Leaf. But I really want to play with Jellyfish, which is the really light, no line colouring one that I want to explore. Is that the right word? Experiment with. So there we go. That's my Lawn Fawn Bubbles with Joy mice week. They took over. The bubbles took over. I cannot wait to play with. I've had this for I don't know how long, and I haven't played with it. I need to play with them. I sort of have had them in the back of my mind and haven't got to them. So I'm really glad that I got to play with it. Now that I've played with it, I want to play with them more. I love colouring in these bubbles. I especially love the rainbow. But you could do these in just plain blue. The really little ones I just did in blue. Or you could sort of change the colours up if you wanted to do all greens or all yellows or something. Really easy to do. And bubbles can be any colour you like, so it doesn't really matter. So that's it for my Lawn Fawn Bubbles with Joy week. I have been meaning to play with this set for a really, really long time, and I haven't got around to it. Now that I have, so I want to play with it more. I love colouring in the bubbles. They're so much fun. They just look really cool, and I cannot get over how cute this little guy is. He's stolen my heart a little bit. I also love how this set sort of jumps in with all of the other mice. You can really pull in a bunch of them. I reckon now I have so many mice from Lawn Fawn, I could do a whole plan a month, I reckon, with just the mice from Lawn Fawn, but I'm not going to. If there is another set from Lawn Fawn you'd love to see me use in my planner, please let me know. You can leave it down below or in any of my socials. Don't go too hard with the Lawn Fawn release on Thursday. If it is your thing, I know I will go hard, but you guys don't have to follow my horrible example. But I'm very much looking forward to some of the new ones that also coordinate with some of these mice and some of the other old sets, so I'm very much looking forward to it. Head over to their YouTube channel to check out some of their videos if you are interested. Hope you have an absolutely awesome week, and I will catch you again in my next video. Sending lots of huggles. Bye!